Well, ladies and gents, here we are in part 4 under factors that affect climate. We're on Roman numeral 4, bodies of water. So lakes and oceans can have an important effect on the temperature of an area by influencing the temperature of the air above it. So large bodies of water, such as lakes and oceans, can affect the climate. It's because that water can hold on to heat, and it can heat up the air. And if it heats up the air, then the air can hold more water. Places downwind of a body of water, downwind of a large body of water, generally have cooler summers and milder winters than places at the same latitude that are further inland. That's what it says down there, inland. Atmospheric circulation can also affect the climate. So global winds are another factor. We've talked about winds a little bit, of easterlies, polar easterlies, prevailing westerlies, and trade winds, because they distribute the heat and moisture around the earth. If all the heat or all the moisture built up in one area, then we'd have a really hot and a really wet place. Fortunately, that does not happen. So we already talked about those low pressure zones at the equator. That's why we saw lots of clouds there. Low pressure equals clouds, right? In the subpolar regions, and they drop more annual precip in the form of rain or snow, depending on the average temperatures of the area. So, low pressure zones at the equator and the subpolar regions form clouds. So you should definitely know that low pressure equals clouds, or what we would call bad weather. And that results in more precip in the form of rain or snow, depending on the temperature of the area. Of course, if you've got cold temperatures, you're going to get snow, and if you have warmer temperatures, you're going to get rain. So you can see that at the equator, because there's a lot of air going up, right along the belly of the planet, there are a bunch of clouds, and that corresponds to low pressure. Same up here in the polar regions. Low pressure, clouds equal low pressure. And if we could see it down here, low pressure. So that means that places where you typically don't have clouds, you're going to have higher pressure more of the time. Higher pressure squeezes out the air spaces, no room for water, and therefore you have nicer climate. So notice that the cloud cover over the equator, and then there's clear skies over the subtropical highs. That's why subtropics are a good place to go to the beach, because it's sunny all the time. Look at that. Can't leave Cancun. Look at that. Sahara Desert. Good place to go if you want to get a suntan. Look at that. East Coast of Australia. Look at that. Brazil. Rio's down there. Those are all nice places to go vacation for a good reason. That's because they're typically found in high pressure areas. Okay, and the last thing we're going to talk about today is vegetation. So whether your trees or your shrubs or whatever plants are growing there, that can affect things as well. So because the sun's energy can be absorbed by those plants, and certain plants give it back to the environment differently. So plants release precipitation, or that should be vapor. That should be vapor there. Vapor through transpiration. Transpiration is not transportation. Transportation is what you do on a bus or a car. Transpiration is water that's being released by leaves. So it's a natural part of the photosynthesis process. Okay, so transpiration. And it's interesting because plants also can release particulates. And as we've talked in this class, particulates or particles are a place for water vapor to condense as clouds. So they release these particles or particulates, and they act as cloud. What that should say down there is seeds. Seeds. So we call those condensation nuclei, and that actually increases precipitation. Believe it or not, we have one of these seeding places around here. If you go up Highway 4 in the wintertime, up towards Bear Valley, there is a snowcat that sprays silver iodide particles into the atmosphere, and that creates more seeds. And they've noticed that they get more snow of the Highway 4 corridor when they actually seed the clouds and give water vapor more places to condense into snow, and then therefore they have more water during the summertime as the snow melts. So I don't know if we should be messing with nature like that, but they seem to figure out that they can get more snow in that way. Okay, and that concludes 25.1 notes and part 4 of chapter 25.